Hi, this is Paul Har from the Saxophonist.org, and I'm here with a play test and review of the Hibiki tenor saxophone mouthpiece from Gottsu. You know, Gottsu is really starting to build a name for itself, a wonderful mouthpiece company out of Japan. And I became familiar with them in 2011 when I got a chance to try them at the P. Marriott Saxophone Shop in Taipei. And we did a review of the Sepia Tone, and they're brilliant mouthpieces, and the company really knows what they're doing. This Hibiki mouthpiece, as you could tell by the shape of it, is their take on a classic Tone Master Autolink. I have to tell you, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but this is a hell of a mouthpiece. It is made out of raw brass. Now we'll get to that in a minute. But it has a beautifully rich sound that I was really captivated that for a metal mouthpiece has such variety of tone color and warmth. I'm going to try to turn this around here. Not have anything gross in it, but let me turn this around if you can see it. It has kind of a low floor baffle that really starts to happen right here at the window's edge. Also, if you can see here, has amazingly thin rails and an almost non-existent tip, which really does wonders for the articulation. As I mentioned, it is made out of raw brass. Now I've cleaned this up a little bit for the presentation photos and demonstration, but after a short amount of time, like anything raw in raw brass form, it will start to oxidize based upon the acidity in your hands. I was playing one time with it and went like this to adjust the mouthpiece, and I didn't clean the mouthpiece off. The next day I could see my palm print in it. But again, it cleaned up very easily with some very mild detergent and solvent. I'm not exactly sure why it is raw brass. I imagine it must have something to do with the tonal resonant characteristics of brass when it's not lacquered or plated. Now, if you're like me, you might be wondering, I don't know if this is a good idea, because there has been some talk about something called brass poisoning. Well, I did some digging into this. There is no such thing as brass poisoning. There is such thing as lead poisoning, obviously, and copper, zinc poisonings. Generally, any type of issues people have with brass has to do with just kind of allergies or metal intolerance. And whatever I saw was it will be limited to maybe some swelling or tingling of the lips types of things. Now those are generally things you don't want to be thinking about when you're playing a mouthpiece. But I have to also say to myself that a mouthpiece company would not put a product out if it was potentially dangerous. Nothing I could find, and no doctor that I spoke to was aware of anybody dying from exposure to brass. Nevertheless, I wanted to let you know about that. It is a wonderful mouthpiece. It's funny, as I'm sitting here looking at the back of the mouthpiece, I don't know if you can see this on the table, but you can if I turn it sideways, you can see La Vase from my reed imprinted. So that kind of tells you what you're dealing with as far as materials. But I was so impressed. And I think this mouthpiece is just a little bit north of $300. So in comparison to some of the mouthpieces that are selling for $600, $700, $800, $900, this is fairly affordable. Here's what I could tell you. My experience has been with anything from Gottsu. It is incredibly well made. All the precision and detail associated with Japanese craftsmanship is apparent. The mouthpieces work. And I've actually had an opportunity to play on 2 or 3 of these, and they play so consistently. Each one has got its own unique character, but I have not run into one of them that is overly resistant. This mouthpiece, like those classic auto links, seem to thrive on medium to soft reeds. But this one will also take harder reeds, a 3.5, even a 4 hard. Which was a little bit too much for me, but it actually responds quite well. This is a mouthpiece that I think you owe it to yourself to try. It is excellent. It produces a wide variety of sounds that you can use in a wide variety of musical situations. Everything from soft bossa nova music, you can feather it out and get a Stan Getzy sound, or you can really push it and get some meat behind it for R&B playing. So it's really something that I think you should check out. Again, it's made out of raw brass, so if you don't necessarily mind that smell on your hands, or, you know, I had a reed that the tail end of the reed turned black from the oxidation, but if you keep the mouthpiece clean and dry, it should be perfectly fine. So to read a full review of this mouthpiece, as well as other mouthpiece reviews, featured articles, etc., be sure to check out www.thesaxophonist.org.